try!
What's the feeling this morning?
Well, still disappointment. I think we certainly didn't want to start the series that way. But we're realists. We know that there's a number of things that we can work on, but there's also a number of things in the game that we're quite pleased with. No, I think from an attack perspective it goes both ways. Some of the attack in the first half resulted in turnover, which the All Blacks scored from. So there's certainly some elements in that first half that we'll have to review and make sure that we're a little bit better with some of our skills. So I think particularly some of our passes and some of our catching under pressure turned the ball over and gave them the opportunities to score some of those tries in the first half.
Was the coaching staff surprised by the poor performance in that first 40?
Yeah, I think everyone was surprised. I don't think it was necessarily a poor performance. I think there was great intent going out on the field from the players, but yeah, there's far too many errors. You know, you can't shy away from the fact that we certainly missed 48 tackles, but we also dropped a lot of ball. We dropped a lot of ball under pressure, which resulted in a number of those turnovers.
How do you fix that those defensive issues in such a short period of time?
Well, I think we said after the game that we've got to believe in the system that we've put in place. So, you know, a relatively young squad, a young combination here together, and really our first hit out at a new strategy in defence, a new way of defence that we're trying to bring into this team. So I think we need to give the guys a little bit of time and make sure that they're fully believing in the system.
Will that strategy be reviewed now?
No, we'll stick with the strategy. There's not going to be too many changes. We've just got to do things better out on the field.
Defensive strategy, though, you say you're going to stick to it and believe in it. Is it the right strategy? You saw centres interchanging, wingers defending in the centres. It's the combinations, you know, weren't there throughout the match. So,
yeah, I mean that comes from belief. That comes from a little bit of time in the system, and like I said, we've got a relatively young combination out there on the field. Guys who are getting a handle on this system, and they'll be better for that run.
Steve, Michael Lyon was really scathing his assessment of the attack last night. Do you sometimes get a little bit exasperated yourself with, you know, overrunning passes, you know, 5/8s flicking on bad ball and whatnot, given you come from such a attacking pass?
No, I don't think I get exasperated. I think that that's part and parcel of the game. I think the pressure that the All Blacks put on us last night was something that we probably couldn't replicate fully at training. But I think those guys will learn a lot out of that game, and you know, we'll continue along the same line in terms of the way that we're playing. We've got to make sure that the training replicates the game, and we've got another opportunity next week to do a better job there.
You were part of the glory days of the Wallabies, and that how much, you know, people were walking out at half time. It's the lowest crowd ever at ANZ Stadium. Pretty big low. Does it hurt you?
Yeah, I mean we've got a job to do as a team. You know, all the external stuff it certainly matters, but for us internally we've got to make sure that we're putting a good performance on the paddock and winning games. And we didn't do it last night, so our focus certainly won't be on crowd numbers. It'll be on making sure we win next week.
The fans are turning away from rugby.
Yeah, and that comes back to us. We've got to make sure that we're winning games, and if we do that and we play the style of rugby that we want to play, the crowd will come back.
Do you understand why fans might think this is a side in crisis, so to speak?
Yeah, I think we haven't had the results. You know, you look at Super Rugby and International Rugby, we haven't been able to beat New Zealand or New Zealand teams for the last couple of years, and it's disappointing as a coach, and it's certainly something that we're very heavily focused on. We know that if we can get some results against New Zealand teams either in Super Rugby or at the international level, then the crowds will be a lot happier.
Do you think that makes it harder, the fact that the Australian rugby in Super level has been so poor, pretty hard to turn it around at Test match level?
We know the challenge for us, I think, coming out of Super Rugby is that everyone's come off a different base. In terms of our fitness, we've spoken about this before, making sure that the guys are up to the speed of the international game, and we felt that we've made some big improvements in that area over the last month. We feel that this team is a lot fitter than they were in June, and a number of the players are a lot fitter than when they played through Super Rugby. So, you know, we're ticking a few boxes. We just need to make sure now that all the systems that we put in place have full buy-in, and the guys are executing under pressure, like I said.
guys have spoken about belief that they could have beaten the All Blacks. I mean, how much of that's evaporated after last night, heading into a test over there in New Zealand, which is arguably going to be a tougher task?
No, I don't think we've lost any of that belief. I think particularly if you look at the performance in that second half and the way the guys rallied, I think there'd be no doubt that teams in the past probably would have crumbled at half-time, but there was really strong belief when the boys came into the sheds and went back out into that second half, and I think we played a second half that we can be proud of. Obviously the game had got away from us in that first half and it was too big a deficit to bring back, but if the guys take a fair bit out of that second half into this next game, I think the belief will still be there.
Do you think New Zealand pulled their foot off the pedal in the second half? Do you genuinely believe the team rallied?
Yeah, I don't think the New Zealand sides have ever pulled the foot off the pedal. I think it's certainly a game of two halves, and I don't like using cliches, but we came out in that second half with a lot of belief and a lot of purpose, and we held onto the ball. Where in the first half there were some opportunities where we had the ball but lost the ball, and New Zealand capitalised on that. But the second half we came out with a lot more purpose both with our attack and our defence, and yeah, good things resulted in that.
Playing indoors, many changes. What about the guys?
Can't hear each other.
You go.
Sorry, just playing indoors, does that change much?
No, it's the same for both sides. So yeah, we're not going to do any special preparation. We'll have a captain's run on the stadium on Friday, but other than that, it'll be a standard game for us in terms of preparation.
Just with potential changes, we saw the guys coming off the bench doing well in the second half. The goal to beat it came on and did well. Some had a mixed night. Probably the kindest thing to say. Is there guys Tavita in line to come into that team?
I think Tavita had a tremendous game coming off the bench. Obviously injected relatively early in that second half, as a number of guys were, to try and add a little bit of energy, and I think those guys did a fantastic job. We'll have a selection meeting this afternoon and again tomorrow to make sure that we get the right team out there on the weekend, but there's certainly no taking away from the fact that Tavita had a great game.
I know you're not the defensive coach, but do you imagine that there will be that chopping and changing in defensive assignments? Is there something to be said about defending in your position and sticking there?
I think that these guys are aware of the way that we defend. Some guys, obviously Curtis's first game out there, I thought he did a tremendous job. But that combination on the field was new, so we've seen in the past if we can get it right, it's very effective. So we're not going to go away from the plan that we put in place. We've been obviously building towards that game for a fair while, and we'll make sure that we don't change too many things this week, particularly with the travel over to New Zealand.
And just a quick one on Kurtley, your summation of his game?
Yeah, really good. I think probably a little bit tentative in that first half, making sure that he could find his feet and the pace of the game, but certainly open up in that second half. And he just gives the guys so much confidence when he's out there on the field, just sees the game really well, made really good decisions last night and injected himself when he needed to.
I guess, first of all, what's the feeling amongst the playing group this morning?
Yeah, obviously a bit of a disappointing feeling there. As obviously we kind of let ourselves down in that first half, obviously. So yeah, boys are feeling it, but obviously there's a lot of promise there that we can take from that second half. I thought we bounced back really well, and you know, yeah, we can kind of take all that good positivity into that next week.
You've been away a while. You've come back into camp. Do you think it's a mentality when it comes to All Blacks?
Obviously they're a great team, but you know, I think a lot of belief in our team leading up into the first test was you know, was crucial, and I think that's allowed us to kind of you know, keep backing ourselves and not worry about too much of the All Blacks. So you know, obviously we got a lot to work on, but you know, if we can all kind of back our systems and back our structures, you know, we'll put ourselves in a really good position to take it to them next week.
It was a great.
Yeah, no, definitely. Obviously, I think any team in the world will be worried about the All Blacks, so we know that. But I think if we can focus purely on ourselves and you know, put in that effort that we did in that second half, then you know, we've got a lot of belief that we can you know, take it to them.
It was a great second half effort, but do you think you guys have put yourselves in a false sense of security in New Zealand actually? off the pedal?
No, not really. Obviously, I mean, I don't know how you want to look at it, but I think for us it was just, we got a message at half time, and it was obviously, you know, the boys responded, and for us as a group, that was really important, and you know, we are building, and I feel there's a really good feeling amongst the group at the moment, and obviously that first half we can learn a lot about ourselves and go into next week, you know, with a positive mind frame and really take it to the All Blacks.
Why do you think the defensive structures and confidence in each other broke down so badly in that first half?
I don't know if it was more defence. It was obviously we had some good ball there in the first 15 minutes, and you know, we were throwing the ball around, and a couple of errors kind of bounced into their hands, and kind of a couple of quick runaway tries kind of led to them, you know, taking an early lead. So, you know, obviously there's a few individual things that we can fix up, and that can be easily fixed. So I think there's a lot of belief there that we can, you know, all get on the same page and really attack next week with a positive mind frame.
Do you think it affects your combinations or confidence or what have you, connectivity, if you're constantly changing guys in the back line in their defensive roles?
Not necessarily. I think we're all at this level for a reason. We can all adapt, and you know, obviously combinations is key. But you know, this back line, all the backs have been working and interacting with each other over these past 3 or 4 weeks, and that you can tell that we're all kind of tight. We all kind of got a good understanding of each other. So whoever's thrown into the different positions, you know, we've got full faith in them.
The public perception of rugby in Australia is pretty tough at the moment. How does the group feel about that in the aftermath of last night?
Yeah, it's obviously a bit tough. Obviously, we are playing for them, and we are doing our best. And obviously, New Zealand are a great team. You know, if we give them the ball that we gave them in that first half, they're going to destroy her. And you know, we definitely felt that coming in that half time. So obviously, seeing the crowd kind of stick around in that second half and then kind of seeing that support, it definitely helped us come into that second half with a really good edge, and you know, hopefully they can still continue that.
And a lot of people left. A lot of people walking out.
Is that right? I was on the field. I didn't really notice that, but yeah. Well, obviously there was still some people there supporting us, and you know, all the boys are really appreciative of that, and you know, I feel there's a really good feeling amongst the group at the moment, and you know, we're not going to back down, not fighting. So, you know, we're going to keep fighting and keep ripping into next week and take a lot of that positivity out of that second half. I feel like, you know, there's a lot of good belief there that we can take from that, and you know, really take it to the All Blacks next week.
It's a great, admirable Australian trait to want to keep attacking the All Blacks in the front. But given that you did turn over a bit of ball, do you have to rein in a little bit to make sure that they don't get so much ball?
Yeah, maybe. I think so. I mean, we'll obviously come up with a bit of a plan and obviously think about how we're going to execute our plays. I think the right intent's there. The intent's there to go out and play rugby, but you know, poor execution is letting us down. So you know, we'll address that next week, and you know, we'll get it right for next week against the ABs. Obviously, just got to keep working, doing our extras at training, and just having a bit of a focus on it. You know, if the ball's not on to pass, hold on to it, and then just back our phase play, and that's what we did in the second half. We held onto the ball, and once we held onto the ball, we showed that we can attack. So, you know, like I said, there's a lot of belief and a lot of good things there to take out of that second half. So, you know, obviously a bit of disappointment there, but we can definitely look forward to next week with a lot of promise.
Talk about why fans might think that this is a side in turmoil, it's a side that's in trouble when you see all the points and the fact that they were leaving during the game?
Yeah, no, I mean, for us as a group, it's important that we stick together and just keep playing rugby. We are working hard. We do care, and you know, a lot of the boys, you know, love playing rugby for Australia. So, you know, for us as a group, we're just going to keep focused on playing rugby and try and you know, I guess deliver the right brand of rugby that everyone wants to see, and you know, we just got to keep focusing on that, and hopefully everyone can just keep sticking by us.
Talk about new systems put in place. Do you think, you know, coming up against the best side in the world, isn't there time and the place to maybe do that?
Oh, mate, I mean, if the coaches have got a good plan, then everyone's got to buy into it, and I felt everyone was buying into it. You know, just in games, when you're out in the game, mate, you're kind of reading and backing your gut instinct, and the coaches do back us in those different circumstances. So, you No, I think when we're all in the same page and everyone's got a good, really understanding of what we need to do and deliver that, then you know, we won't put ourselves in that kind of deficit in that first half.
Do you put a call into Cameron Smith this week? The Maroons were able to do the unthinkable and turn around with the Origin series. Do you think they're necessary?
No, I'll just keep that. I mean, obviously we're a tight bunch, and you know we've got to keep bouncing ideas off each other, keep getting around each other, keep that good energy around camp, and obviously the coaches are going to come up with a good game plan, and you know as long as we're all buying into it and we're all sticking together, we'll put our best foot forward on Saturday next week.
On a personal note, Bernie felt maybe a little tentative early on before finding your feet later in the game. How did you feel?
Yeah, I think it was exactly that. I think as the game progressed, I felt more comfortable. I felt like the team was starting to get a roll on, and you know a few momentum changes there, and we're lucky to kind of pounce and take our opportunities. And you know that's why I think next week we can take a really good. We can take a lot of good stuff out of that second half and build into that, and obviously start from where we finished in that game last night.
New Zealand, it's a tough task.
Yeah, it's always going to be a tough task, right? So it's a test match playing against one of the best teams in the world, or the best team in the world. So, you know, we know the task at hand, and obviously, you know, it's important for us now to recover, travel world, recover, and you know, keep that positive mind frame.